Now, this is a book with a tremendous amount of depth. It's written by Rabbi YAAKOV Kronenberg, not a rabbi, an astrologer. And he's taught me some things about Jewish astrology that, it does rhyme with the astrology of, the ancient astrology was always around. Avraham Avinu, our father, was an astrologer. He was the son of an astrologer, but astrology can be used for bad purposes, as we've seen, by focusing on the wrong aspects, by focusing only on the planets themselves and what we can observe. But there's much, much more behind that. The planets didn't start by themselves. There we have the name YAAKOV, and this man here, Reb Yaakov Kronenberg, spent the time to really learn the Kabbalah and be able to mix it in the concept of, as we understand how Kabbalah and astrology, what we call astrology, go together. So let's go back just a little review. I don't want to get into too much because I know that it's in a previous shir, and it's been a while since I've done that shir. He goes over here and he starts, and we went through the permutations of God's names and how it is that the different ways that the light shines to us through those names, through the construction of the letters of the names, makes a tremendous a difference in us. And he's also given us the concept of cycles. How is this a part of a cycle, the cycle of our life, when we wake up in the morning to the time we go to bed at night. And the same thing is true when we're born into the world and we finally leave the world. It's all a part of a cycle. Now, the cycles are based on the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. And he goes in this paragraph and he's kind of summarizing some ideas which I hope we'll be able to pick up again. This is that these letters, these 22 letters, can be divided into 3 elemental levels, 7 double letters, and 12 simple letters. And he goes on to describe this. And it's not, I think that what it is, at least for me, is it is such a big subject that we just need to hear it, be able to see as much of it as we can. So he goes through the simple letters, the elemental letters, and the double letters. He goes through them. And now we're over here on this. He's talking about the simple letters. He says all these 12 simple letters are connected with the parts of Zeir Anpin. This is the body of Zeir Anpin, the parts of Zeir Anpin, which is 10 spheros. Originally, actually, the parts of Zeir Anpin is only 6 spheros. So he's going to say that, which is represented by the sphere of Teferes, which is made of 6 spheres of Chesed, Gevurah, Teferes, Netzachod, and Yesod. Now, where each sphere has a masculine and feminine side, so since there are 6 of them, and part of it is masculine, part of it is feminine, then it's composed of 12 sides. There's no doubt that these spheres have judgment and mercy. So let me just say that looking in other places in the Zohar, the word that I would use for that the Zohar wants to use in other places is the concept of a maskala. A maskala is a balance scale. And so therefore the world, the energy of the world is always being refined through a balance scale. And so there is, when the world is going crazy, which it's going crazy around us here now, and when the world is being corrected and it's a peaceful world, then we have balance. So there's a certain kind of balance. A balance is composed of 3 sides: a right side, a left side, and a middle side. And the middle balances, and that is Zeir Anpin, and that is the Teferes. So let's go back. He says, so the simple letters do have judgment and mercy, even though they do not have a hard and soft sound each. So they have judgment and mercy are opposites. So then we see over here that a hard and a soft sound, but they don't have them. The Ramak gives another explanation as why these 12 letters are called simple or peshutot, instead of assuming incorrectly that they are named as such because they are neutral in nature. We can also say that they have a dagesh, which is a point, an emphasis point, a dash on their sound. So even though they are not letters which can be pronounced in different ways, at least we don't have the ways to pronounce them. Their sound is harder than the other letters because of this dagesh. It's an accent. Also, they are called simple letters because they are branches that break off from the Sefer, and they are not the Sefer themselves. Now, this is not easy stuff to understand. Doing the best I can to try to stay with it. And it's not the first time I've been through a great deal of Aryeh Kaplan's Sefer Yetzirah. There are statements there that really need to be thought about, and it's not a big book. So going back again, that is because they are branches that break off from the Sefer, so that we could call what? These letters are branches, and they are not the Sefer themselves. Let's say, as opposed to the three elemental levels, letters, which he said previously are Shin, Men, Mem, and Aleph, and the 7 double letters, which are Bagad Kafrat, which together make up the 10 Sfiros. Those are the 10 Sfiros. So what are these other 12? So these 12 simple letters are like branches which come out of those 10 Sfiros. And behold, you should also know that it was these 12 letters which created the 12 signs of the zodiac, and the 12 months of the year, and the 12 limbs/organs of the body. Now, this is a tremendous statement that's being made by Rabbi YAAKOV KRONENBERG. This is, some of it's taken from Aryeh Kaplan's, some of it taken from the Gaon of Vilna. But each one of these ideas, I think that of how they're related to letters, how they're branches, or different kinds of ways of looking at them, all have a place to be really much more deeply analyzed. Let's go on. Now he wants to say this, and this is over my head, and let's read anyway. Let us now go to the Sefer Yetzirah, the book of creation, and look at chapter 5. Now, okay, so he said 12 simple letters are these letters: Kof, Tzadi, Ayin, Samach, Nun, Lamed, Yud, Tes, Ches, Zayin, Vav, and Hey. Okay, now offhand, that doesn't mean anything. He says, so these are the 12 simple letters, and their foundations are speech, thought, motion, sight, hearing, action, coition, smell, sleep, anger, taste, and laughter. Now just let me count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Well, it's possible that I put 2 together. He says there's 12. I'll tie it one more time. They are, speech. That's the first one. So that's 12. So their foundations are the 12 diagonal boundaries. Now, this is really hard to understand, and Aryeh Kaplan refers to this, I think, as a hypercube. So what is a hypercube? You look at, so he's going to say like this: imagine a cube. So the east upper boundary, okay, the east northern boundary, the east lower boundary, and the south upper boundary. Now, this really, I think you would have to have a picture of a cube in order to try to put this together. So the southeastern boundary, the south lower boundary where it bounds the bottom, the west upper boundary, then there's a boundary on the left of it, I guess, the west southern boundary, so west south, these are the different boundaries between these directions, the west lower boundary, the north upper boundary, the northwestern boundary, and the north lower boundary. And they extend continuously until eternity of eternities. This is the hypercube. And they are the boundaries of the universe. Now, he says their foundation is that now these are the words of the Sefer that translated into English. He engraved them. It's like a stamp, I think. Carved them, got into it more deeply, permuted them. We just saw how the number 4 can be permuted. Really, it's in 24 different ways. Weighed them, and transformed them. And with them, he formed 12 constellations of the universe, 12 months of the year, and 12 directors of the soul, male and female. There's a lot to be said here. I mean, just where does this come from? So when he got to the word permuted them, so the question is, see, if we were really more lucid, and I know we would have a really much better understanding when he says engraved them. What does it actually mean to engrave something? It means to take the let's say, what does a stamp look like? So it has a handle. So it has a handle which is not important to the engraving process, except that allows the handler to be able to move it down, to be able to push it down. So that implies this is a handler. The handler takes his own essence and engraves it into something which is more physical. Then he perfects it. He carved them. Now he says there are 12 boundaries. He said these are the boundaries. I have a hard time picturing this. I think that people who are involved in physics could have a better idea. Then he took them, the 12, and he permuted them. He permuted them in different combinations of the 4 letters of the name YAAKOV, which we said comes out to be 12, and we saw that in detail. I'll just flash it to you again real quickly in the birth chart of Avraham, where you have which the original is YAAKOV, but there are variations of those. There are 12 of them. So now let's see where we're at now. Okay, I think we're going to stop here. We're going to have this share right here, and this is going to be enough. This is Baruch Fleischman. It's a Tikkun Elevator Kollel.